usually can control it a little better than that. But that was a lot going on right there to pay attention to.
Whitetail Edge is brought to you by Black Widow Deer Lures, Redneck Blinds, Rocky, Antler King, Rogue Bowstrings.
Todd and Austin and them are masters at getting deer coming to bait on these big tine piles and stuff. They'll take regular corn and then they'll mix big tine with it, scattered around. They'll get them hooked on it, and then they know how to get it, and they kind of get their deer trained. They put a lot into it. And like normally at home, I would never even think about hunting right on a corn pile or a big tine bait pile. I just wouldn't do it. You know, close around it, but not like right on it. Well, here, these guys hunt right on it, so that's going to be a little bit. We got to really be careful how we move, because deer could be coming from anywhere, be right on top of you.
So the one thing about early season deer hunting, and I know a lot of people are really excited and they want to get rolling out of bed, and they first day of season, man, we got to get in the stand. Well, you know, if that's fine, if you want to go shoot a doe, or maybe you know you got a big buck that you're pegged on in the morning time, then fine, I guess go after him. But I would say 90% of the time, early season morning hunts are wasting your time and alerting your deer. Me personally and all the guys on our team, we pretty much only hunt evenings all the way up until like October 23rd. I mean, you're really just kind of burning your stands, you're burning your spots out, and you're alerting the deer that they're being pressured. And pressure is the worst thing ever for holding big deer and keeping them on their feet in daylight hours. So what we had done, Todd had been, you know, putting some Antler King attractant fuel and so much, you know, inside the woods. We had an Antler King food plot outside the woods. There was some trophy clover and game changer clover. And then there was some bean fields and, you know, corn fields farther out. Basically in Kentucky, you can hunt bait. So we figured we'd start a corn pile, use some attractant fuel from Antler King in there, get these deer hitting this spot a little bit closer to bed, and catch them on the top of this ridge coming up out. Then they'd be headed to the food plots. That's exactly what happened. Todd started getting great pictures of this big old buck. We called it the Jason buck. There's a story behind that of just, you know, another guy that Todd's friends with that works on the farm was trying to kill this deer and just never did get it killed the year before. So luckily I got a chance to hunt this deer, and so we're after the Jason buck. And long story short, you know, once we figured out what times these deer were moving, basically we wanted to wait for the right weather pattern, the right moon, everything to kind of coincide to making our chances the best we could make it for that evening hunt. One thing that I go to that a lot of people I think really miss the boat, and they should check this out, and it's the moon guide. I truly believe in the moon guide. It's not a fail-proof system, but the moon guide will tell you the best times to hunt deer. Everything revolves around the moon, and I know there's so many people that argue that and say that it doesn't, but I have hunted deer way too long to know that the moon does affect the movement of animals. And so according to the moon guide, on September 7th of 2017 last year, at 2:22 p.m. was going to be the second major time of the moon that day. Well, it wasn't probably like 3 o'clock when me and Javen got in the stand, and we already had deer moving, coming in to that corn pile out of the bedding area.
So why does Whitetail Edge use Black Widow deer lures? It's 100% pure whitetail deer urines. It's never brown or broken down. Black Widow deer lures are always fresh, collected and bottled within 24 hours of collection to guarantee freshness. So why should you use Black Widow deer lures? Because it works. Visit www.blackwidowdeerlures.com.
The deer that we're mainly after is a real big brow-tined 8-pointer, and then there's another shorter tined kind of 8-point that's, you know, kind of wide but short tined, and I'd be happy to take either one of them, especially if they're in velvet. I've never killed a velvet deer in my life, and I think it'd just be neat, shoot one this early in the year, start off the year for Whitetail Edge, and it'd be kind of cool. So all the prep has been done to get on this big buck. So now it's that time. It's about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Me and Javen decide it's time to go get in the stand. You know, the moon guide's talking about 2:22 to 3 o'clock being a good time for deer to start moving. So we're getting in there. As we're walking in, I decide that I'm going to take some of my Black Widow apple scent and just kind of spray that a little bit, you know, into the tree. You know, there's some brush right there close to the stand where we've been feeding these deer. And, you know, one thing I want to be transparent about here is we're hunting bait. I mean, we're not trying to hide it. We're divulging all this to you because I don't feel that it's right to sit here and try to hide that from the viewers or say, hey, that it's wrong to hunt over corn or whatever. If it's legal in your state and it can give you an advantage to try to pull off killing, you know, a good deer or any kind of a deer that you want to kill, well, why not use it to your advantage if you're doing it right?
Well, they've been scattering some big tine in here on this ridge. And these deer bed right over this bank, and they come up onto this acorn ridge here. And they'll stage on this big tine that's scattered on the ground. So that's really the plan. We're using the big tine as the source, the bait. Trying to pull them up out of the bedding close before they go to the big fields. Catch them right in here. So we're probably going to be on a bunch of deer, and sometimes that's a little hard to hunt deer just like that. We're trying to catch them circling downwind of the food and pop them.
Understand that big deer especially are going to try to work downwind of that bait coming in a lot of times. So you need to have your stand set to where maybe they can't get downwind of you, or the structure is going to blow your wind right over top of them before they get to the bait. And then hence you get a shot, which you'll see in this hunt as me and Javen are sitting there. The first, you know, big buck that shows up on the scene, we've had some deer moving. We're, you know, getting our hopes up, and all of a sudden I look up through the timber and there he is. The Jason buck is slowly making his way to us. But you can tell this is a 6-year-old buck. I mean, he's standing there, he's watching the situation, there's some does on the corn, but he's not just running into this. Like, you know, he's wary. And because, you know, no matter what, this isn't typical to have corn trees in the middle of the woods, or, you know, flavored Antler King attractant just falling out of the trees. You know, these deer still know that. They have a sweet tooth, they want to go for it, but yet they're still going to be cautious. As this buck is working his way in, he does exactly what we figured he would do, and he starts to go downhill to try to get a wind and check that. This deer comes to within 15 yards, and we just cannot get a shot. He just needed to come another like 3 feet, and I would have peeled him on the very first encounter. He backs up. He just didn't feel right. I don't know why he didn't feel right. I don't think he got our scent of any sorts, but he turned around and walks back out. And we're just like crushed, thinking, oh my gosh, this isn't going to happen. We watch him walk out the ridge, and he walks right out into the food plot, out of the woods. And we're like, man. And I'm sitting there thinking, you know, I don't think it's over. It's early. I mean, real early. And, you know, I'm thinking this could happen still. This buck could come in, and there was other big bucks in there too. Well, all of a sudden we started getting a lot more deer moving, you know, coming into the pile. There was another big old mature buck come in there and was pushing all the other deer off, making all kinds of commotion. And it wasn't 25 minutes. I look up again, and here comes the Jason buck. He steps back in the timber. He sees that other buck there pushing those other deer around. He can't take it. I knew this was going to be the thing that was going to get his goat. He'd come in once, didn't get our scent, wasn't too scared. This time, he pretty much walks right in.
He is done. Oh yeah. He just fell over. Yes. Good job, man. I knew he was angled just a little. Shot wasn't exactly perfect, but I gotta admit, I was just a tad bit. I wasn't rattled, but I usually can control it a little better than that. But that was a lot going on right there to pay attention to. He just tipped over right there, man. That is an awesome velvet buck. Thank you, Todd. Thank you, Austin. You guys are really good buddies, man. I finally got the monkey off my back in Kentucky. Yes. Unbelievable. Look at this right here. Look at this stud, man. I mean, seriously. I've never shot a velvet buck in my life. Todd, get in here. Oh my gosh, dude, this is so beautiful. I mean, seriously. Like, what a beautiful buck. I mean, I've never in my life shot a velvet deer. And, I mean, Todd, thanks, man. Holy cow. Jeez, dude.
Look at that. He's a stud.
He is so pretty. Oh, what a hunt for this dude too, man. It was exciting.
Coming in and out on you.
Oh, but then he come back in because he was the king. I can't even say enough to start the season like this. I mean, this is, like I was saying in the video, I was just like, you know, for Austin and, you know, you guys to work like you do in Austin, to share his land like this, it just means a lot. I mean, it's really something. Get ready for the next episode as we join team member Chad Spangler as he tries to get some redemption on a giant 200-inch Ohio whitetail he's named Hook. The action gets pretty intense out of the redneck blind. Stay tuned, you will not be disappointed.